just think of them and understand that they are incredibly talented, devoted, committed people who are passionate about what they do. The colleagues that I have an incredible capacity for love. They have a love for learning, they have a love for their students, and I guess as a hypothetical question, I asked the people at the very top of the financial pyramid I asked them, how much is enough? And what I would like to also ask is people who think that teachers don't deserve a fair and equitable settlement. I would like to ask them to think about really what the core of teaching is all about, and that is love. Thank you.
I know we're sitting next to each other. This was not planned. Kathy Kremens, taxpayer, Mendham Township, and 28-year veteran here at Mendham High School teaching English and Theory of Knowledge. Thank you, Charlie, for that smile. To start with, I ripped up about 6 or 7 things that I wanted to say and decided that I would just speak from the heart. I figured I'd kind of call up the old coaching juices and see how that would work. And seeing Charlie sitting here, I got to start my day with Charlie. Does it get any better than that? That you get to start with this very intelligent, compassionate young man, and then to somewhat end my evening, since I'm usually in bed by 7:30, but end my evening with a dinner with my friend of 20 years, Harry Douglas. And I've a couple of wishes for the new year. 2 of those wishes actually come out of what the board added as amendments on October 4th. One is that we passed the budget. It had been proposed by Mrs. Gilmet and seconded by Mr. Button. And I think for all of us in this room and not in this room, we have to be more active. It can't just be Mrs. Schramm, Dr. DiBattista, and other board members trying to convince the community of the importance of passing the budget, particularly in this financial landscape. I'm a little prejudiced in the fact that I've got my finances tied up in this community, and I plan on being here for about 15 more years. Hopefully I'll still be teaching for 15 more years. So, this is a home in both a literal and figurative sense. And I feel as if over the past few years I've not done enough. So my commitment to you is that I will make sure that I get out there, and hopefully my colleagues and the parents in the community and the students as well, if they believe in the budget that you put together, and I think you put together a very fair one last year, that if that same thing happens this year, that I'll make a commitment to that, and hopefully people will follow along. The second wish has to do with, as Harry mentioned, another resolution, another amendment that you added on October 4th that was proposed by Mr. Rashar and seconded by Mr. Button to come to a resolution, a fair and equitable resolution to teachers' negotiations. I'd like to add a couple of my own wishes for what it's worth. One is that part of that is also the administrative assistants. I don't know about you, but I can't get through my day without people helping me. Whether it's my students, my colleagues, or administrative assistants, whether it's that phone call, I need an answer to something, I need pens, for as simple as that seems. But I think that they also deserve a fair and equitable resolution to their contract negotiations. The one thing I'd like also to add to that, in thinking about it, is the word competitive. I know that the administrator's contract was settled in November. I've looked at it. It's very competitive. And I think that, again, and I'm not speaking for myself here, because you're kind of stuck with me, but I'm speaking for my younger colleagues who every single day make me better and enrich me as a professional and as a human being. I want them to feel that they have the options that I've had. As Harry talked about, that for 28 years, I've made the choice to be here every single day. This is my home. These are the kids that I come to see every day. These are the people that I come to live with every single day. And I want my younger colleagues to be able to feel that same thing. So I ask, and I appreciate the fair and equitable resolution of the negotiations, and I ask you that we make it competitive, that we remain as competitive as we possibly can be. Does that mean we settle for anything? Absolutely not. Nobody's as competitive as I am. All you have to do is look at my past as a coach. This is about excellence. This is about every single day, what we do in a classroom, what we do together to make this ever-evolving, ever better, the best damn district in this state.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments? It's going to be hard to follow those two. Someone's up to the challenge. I will close to the public, and we'll move on to the consent agenda. Does anybody have any items to exclude? Amy?
Nope.
Okay, number 5, personnel, number 8.
And you said two? Oh, just two.
Number 12, number 5, number 8, number personnel.
Business ops 3.
Second? Jeannie, could I ask you to move number 2?
Sure. I'll move number 2.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Business ops number 3. Ken? Can I have a motion?
Move number 3.
Second. Discussion.
I looked over the bills and I found everything was in order, but we go to vote, I wish to abstain from check number 26829.
What page is that, Jim?
$47.
46. Bottom line.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions, other than Jimmy Smith? Okay. Personnel, number 5. On page 7. Have a motion?
Number 5.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
I'd like to move the approval, please.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor of tabling the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? And number 8 on page 8. Have a motion?
I'll move the motion.
Second. Discussion?
I don't know if I was missing something in my packet, but typically when we have personnel motions, the qualifications of the candidate are attached on the back. I don't have any for this candidate. Do you have any?
I do not, we don't normally provide them for volunteers.
Yeah.
No.
So what is the basis for the board to make the vote on this?
I received a request from the coach. I made sure that both the principal and the athletic director were aware of it. I made sure that we proceeded with the criminal background check and to make sure that the person had some certificate. Once those things were in place, it was placed on the agenda.
So we don't have any information about his qualifications to coach wrestling?
Again, the recommendation came from the coach. Had you asked me that question, I could have had that for you now. We don't normally get resumes from volunteers. If you'd like to table it, and I can get you a resume, I'd be happy to do it.
Great, I'll move the table.
Did we have support for the wrestling coach volunteer that we approved at the last meeting?
Support in terms of documentation.
The same thing Jamie was asking.
We don't.
So we
do that.
approved a volunteer for wrestling last month.
We do.
Last month.
You have typically not gotten resumes for people who volunteer, but we do criminal background checks. I do check with the principals, I check with the athletic directors, and I check with the coaches. They're not placed on here indiscriminately to make sure that we fulfill the legal and the insurance requirements and have conversations with people who requested volunteers.
Motion on the table, is there a second?
I'll second it.
The table?
Yeah.
All in favor of the table?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Ayes, please. 2, 2.